Welcome to Alasquatch, the show all about Bigfoot in the great state of Alaska. I'm your host, Beans Baxter. So lace up your boots, zip up your coat, and come with me on an adventure as we explore all things cryptid in the last frontier. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Want to apologize for no show last month. Got busy with some things, and unfortunately for the new operating system that my Mac downloaded, apparently Audacity is not supported in the new operating system. So my program that I used to record the podcast wasn't working. It doesn't work with the new Catalina system that Mac came out with. And apparently there is a workaround, but I just didn't have time to sit down and figure it out. And what I ended up doing is I found out that you can record, I guess, on GarageBand, which is kind of like the built-in Apple audio studio program. So this is basically a test run. Like, I have never done this before. I recorded a couple of test takes earlier, but as of right now, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm recording this on the fly with a program I've never used before, other than watching a couple of YouTube tutorials. So hopefully this works out. I don't know. I hate, like any red-blooded American male, I fear change, and this just, I was so unhappy. I got so mad about it, I almost just decided to stop doing the podcast because I just didn't want to learn a new audio program. But anyway, I persevered. I did a little bit of research, and here I am. And I think maybe if things work out, I'll just use this one from now on. Because I don't see Apple, hopefully they won't stop updating their own program. Maybe this one will be here for the long haul. I won't have to worry about it stopping working at some point. So anyway, here I am with December's episode. I really am hoping to get another episode recorded this month. Kind of a holiday special, something for you to listen to over the holiday break. Don't put a whole lot of faith in that, because I am pretty much, I go back to work tomorrow and I'm working pretty much like, 21 or 16 out of the next 21 days or something. People are taking leave because of the holidays, and it's going to be crazy. So, I can't guarantee that I'm going to get to sit down and record. Plus, I've got to spend time with my family and friends and stuff for the holidays. So I will try to sit down and get something thrown together for the holidays, but I can't promise you anything. Hopefully next year things slow down a little bit in regards to that, and I get a chance to record some more and spend more time out in the field. I just feel like in the last couple of months, Bigfooting has just really taken a back seat in my life to work and family life and other things. It just seems like I haven't got the time to sit down and listen to podcasts on the subject, or read books on the subject, or even watch TV shows on the subject. But that being said, today's episode is about a TV show on the subject. For those of you that don't know, the Travel Channel premiered a new show just this last Sunday called Expedition Bigfoot. And I had a feeling that the show was coming. I know one of the researchers on the show, Russell Acord, and I've spent some time with him, and I've been to the International Bigfoot Conference two or three times. And I was very disappointed that this year's conference was canceled. And he said it was canceled because there was some filming going on, and he was being kind of cryptic about it. And I just had a feeling that something was going on, that there was going to be something coming out with him in it, or, just that all signs were kind of pointing to something going on with Russell and Bigfoot. So I wasn't I wasn't overwhelmed with surprise when I found out that he was going to be on Expedition Bigfoot. So, I was happy to hear he got the gig. Just like anything in the Bigfoot world, there's always a lot of people that are, I don't know, critical of everything that comes out. They're upset. I guess there's some people upset because, they didn't get picked for the show. And, I would love to be on a show like that, but I understand, I can't devote that much time to doing something like that because of my day job. And I don't feel comfortable enough, quitting my day job and not having a source of income to pursue something like that. And, that being said, I have a hard time selling myself. And that being said, just for an example, there was a photograph that was taken on our last expedition to Port Chatham. And it's a picture of me standing on this cliff, overlooking the water. And I'm standing there and I've got my rain gear and my little, Indiana Jones hat on. And I've got my shotgun in my hand and I'm kind of looking off in the distance and it's a really cool photo. Well, after we got back and got to reviewing our footage and photos and stuff, Stephen Major, sent me an email or a text, I don't remember, and was like, sent the photo to me. It was like, this is an outstanding photo. Do you care if I make some posters of this? And my first thought was, who in the hell is going to buy a picture of me? So, I told him it was fine. As far as I know, he hasn't made the posters or sold any, but, that was my first thought was, who in the hell is going to buy a picture of me? So, I just have a hard time thinking that I am somebody that people would pay money to see or listen to. This podcast is free and it's free for a reason because I don't think anybody would pay for it. But, I have a hard time thinking of myself in that regard as something that somebody would want to pay money to view or to see. So that's kind of why I feel like I'll probably never, get on a show as a regular like that or as a, like a paid gig type of deal. That, and there's a lot of things that come with that when you work with television and television producers. And, we'll kind of get into that a little bit more later as I talk about the show. But anyway, the description of the show comes on Travel Channel, and I believe it's airing on Sunday nights. It says an elite team of Sasquatch specialists journey into the unforgiving Oregon wilderness in search of Bigfoot. The 3-week expedition, based on science and expertise, may finally pull the elusive beast out of the pages of legend and lore into reality. So, that's it's a pretty cool premise, but, honestly, it's pretty much the same as a lot of Bigfoot shows. I didn't hear anything in there that I haven't seen attempted before. And here is a little blurb about the host. By the way, this is all on the travelchannel.com website. With a unique blend of expertise, the Expedition Bigfoot team, including Bryce Johnson, Dr. Myra Mayer, Russell Acord, Ronnie LeBlanc, and Ronnie RPG Golombeski, may finally take one of the world's greatest mysteries out of the pages of legend and lore and into reality. Get to know them all before this incredible once-in-a-lifetime expedition. So I sat down Sunday night and wanted to watch the premiere, the first episode, and it didn't come on till 9 p.m. My time on live TV. And people were already starting to post about it from the East Coast that had already seen it. And I was getting I was getting tired. I kind of wanted to go to bed. And I just on a kind of a lark, I thought, well, I've got the Travel Channel app on my Apple TV. I'll just see if it's available. And it was. So I was actually able to watch it at about 7 o'clock my time, 7 p.m., instead of having to wait till 9 p.m. So that, that helped me out, not having to stay up late on a work night to watch it. And so anyway, to get into the show, it's an hour-long show. And I I went into it pretty much with an open mind. Honestly, I don't know that much about the people on the show other than Russell. I know Russell a little bit. I've read one of his books. I have two of them, but I've only read one. They're fiction books, and although they are pretty good, or the one I read was really good, but it was, it's fiction, so it's it's an interesting story. I really enjoyed it, but again, it's a fiction book, so it's not real. But some of the things that he writes about, in the fiction book are kind of interesting, and takes of what I guess some traits and attributes that he gives to Bigfoot, basically some explanations for their behavior in the book, or just like I said, because it's a fiction book, it's pretty much, I guess, it's all speculation on his part, but it's entertaining. It wasn't bad, and it was a quick read, so I did enjoy it, and I do plan on reading the second book that I have. I just haven't got around to it. I don't read quite as much as I used to, but that's on me. I do plan on buying the third book when it comes out, because I believe it's a 3-part series type book. And the next book that comes out, I think, is going to be, like I said, I think they're kind of like Star Wars are coming out of order. I believe the first book that came out is technically the second one. The second book that came out is technically the first one, and I don't know where this third one's going to fall in the timeline. So I know, Russell a little bit from talking to him at IBC and spending some time with him at the Sasquatch Roundup, the first Sasquatch Roundup we had, where him and Bob Gimlin attended. But as far as the other people on the program, I do not know at all. Mariah Mayer, I guess she is a legit scientist who spent a lot of time in the field. She had a hand in discovering a new species of, I think it was lemur or some type of, I believe it was some type of small primate, or maybe the world's smallest primate. So, she's got some legit science chops to her name. And then, as far as the other guys, Ronnie LeBlanc, I sorry, I don't know him at all. RPG, Ryan Besky. I don't know him. Bryce Johnson. I don't know any of these guys, and I'm not quite sure what they've been involved with. I know one of them has a podcast. I can't remember which one it is. So, these guys, somehow or another, they landed the show with Russell. And I'm not sure where they're from. I know Russell is from Washington, so he's not too far from Oregon, where their area is that they're on the show here. But I'm not sure about the other two guys. I don't know if they're from around there or not. I'd be curious to kind of know where they come from, geographically. So I sat down and watched the show. My thoughts on the show are mostly positive. The show kind of starts out with Russell getting some thermal footage, and then it goes backwards in time to the beginning of the expedition. So that was kind of interesting, and I don't know if the footage they show, it looks like some thermal, like FLIR type footage, and I don't know if what they showed us at the beginning is the actual footage, or if they just showed that kind of to get our interest peaked, and then they're going to show us the actual footage later on. There were some interesting camera tricks that were used when showing the footage, and by that I mean, so we see Russell looking at the viewfinder, or the screen of the device, and it's on a tripod, and it is like completely, it's steady, it's not moving, it's it's a mounted device on a tripod, and you can see the display. But then when they show the footage of the FLIR footage, or the FLIR signature, like it's bouncing around like somebody's holding it, and they're moving, and I'm pretty sure that's just a camera bouncing around. It's not the actual screen bouncing around. So I think they probably did that to, I don't know, make the footage harder to see. So I kind of thought that was annoying, and just knowing some of the tricks and stuff that they can employ on things like that, it kind of annoyed me because I knew they were doing it on purpose, and they're not really doing it. They're either doing it for two reasons: they're doing it for dramatic effect, or they're doing it so you can't get a good look at the footage. So both of those reasons, in my opinion, are kind of fucking stupid, because if they're doing it to purposely skew the footage or the thermal image, then they're probably not very happy with it, or it's not very convincing, and they're just doing it to get your interest. So I continued on. I kept watching the show. I watched all of them come together. They don't say where the area is, but supposedly it's 90,000 acres somewhere in Oregon. And very, very beautiful place, very pretty. I haven't spent a lot of time in Oregon. I've never went squatching there, but I'd like to someday. And I really felt that, they just get into it. Like they're there to look for Bigfoot. There's not a lot of explanation or speculation, or even, like they don't even tell you. Basically, they're just like, we're here, we're looking for Bigfoot, the end. They don't go into any possible theories. They don't go into the researchers, like, oh, I think it's a flesh and blood, undiscovered ape. I think it's, a ghost, or, a Nephilim or something like that. They just, and I'm thinking maybe some of that's going to come out in later episodes. But as far as this first episode goes, they just got right into it. They showed up, they got their little tents set up, and then they went out looking. And they did not spend a whole lot of time explaining to people. And I guess they figure at this point, if you're watching a show called Expedition Bigfoot, you're probably familiar with a lot of the different theories around Bigfoot and a lot of the descriptions of Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. So they don't spend a whole lot of time going into the lore and legends of Bigfoot. They pretty much hit the ground running and beginning their expedition. So the coolest thing that I thought about the first episode, the thing that really, in my opinion, makes the episode or the show stand out above other shows of its ilk, I suppose, is they brought in, it was a novel idea. It was probably the first time I've ever heard of anybody doing this. I'm not saying that, maybe they didn't get the idea from somebody else, but it was pretty cool, as they brought in some drones with LiDAR capabilities to map the area that they were in. And I was not aware of this, but I guess LiDAR can penetrate the forest canopy to map the ground. And using that, they found some game trails and some areas of interest that they wanted to check out on foot. And I thought that was probably, in my opinion, the best part of the episode. And especially where they're showing the mapping capabilities of the LiDAR drones. It was really cool. And really, in my opinion, innovative. I thought, man, this is like something nobody's probably ever done before. So that was, in my opinion, probably the best part of the episode, was the technology that they implemented. And that was just the first episode. So I'm really excited to see what they do in the future as far as interesting or innovative technology that they bring out into the field. There's always, it seems like there's things out there that exist that people haven't quite had the thought of how to implement it into a certain field. For example, drones, when they first came out, it was kind of a fun toy. People just played with them and would fly around and, take footage of things. And then it got to the point where people started implementing them professionally, and real estate people started using drone shots of houses to give you a look at the property. And now, firefighters are using drones to map fires and fire lines. And, it's kind of grown from a hobby, almost like model airplane, or not model airplanes, but RC airplanes or something like that. And it's kind of grown into a profession, or, a commercial use for drones. And one of the most innovative things I've ever seen a drone used for is, the offshore drilling rigs drilling rigs that set out in the ocean. Well, they can use drones to fly over the edge of those things and inspect the pipes and the equipment that are, hanging off the edge of these things. That way they don't have to put somebody's life at risk to climb out there and actually look at it. They can just send a drone over to inspect it. And the people that fly the drones that do that, make a lot of money, and it's a really growing and innovative business. And I thought that was so clever when I heard about it. It's like, why didn't I think of something like that? Think of one of the first guys that ever, thought to do that. That was probably pretty cool. He probably had a drone that he bought, for recreation, and was like, I could just send this drone over there to look at that pipe, and I don't have to crawl out over the ocean to do it. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm really excited to see what kind of technology and equipment that they can utilize to look for Bigfoot that you might not really associate with being able to look for Bigfoot or really, any kind of animal. And I can't wait to see what's next, what they come up with as far as innovative technologies to use in their expedition for Bigfoot. So there's supposed to be 8 episodes. They've already aired 1 episode, so I guess that leaves 7 episodes left. Not sure. I think I might be out of town when the last episode airs. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it or not, but I'll keep an eye on the show. I want to watch more of it. Although I do think the show does have some problems. It does have some similarities to other Bigfoot shows. But I've said it a million times. If you literally filmed Bigfooting, for real Bigfooting, nobody would watch it because it would be so boring. It would just be, a couple people going out in the woods and setting, and, maybe they'd see a few deer or a few, unique animals, but it's a lot like, a lot of things, like, when you watch cops on TV, that film crew filmed, hundreds of hours to make that half-hour episode. And, there's only 20 or 30 minutes of good, usable footage out of those hundreds of hours. It's the same thing with Bigfooting. You can film hundreds of thousands of hours of footage, but only a small fraction of it's going to be interesting or, exciting to watch. So that's kind of one of my problems with the show is the producers, Russell and RGB or RB, is it RBG or RGB? RGB or PG. Russell and, those guys, they may be 100%, all about looking for Bigfoot. But at the end of the day, like a lot of shows, it's not Russell and the team that are editing the show and putting it together. It's, producers and editors and people that want to get ratings, and they're going to put the show together in a way that they feel is exciting. And they're not, they're not Bigfooters. They're not people that have a huge encyclopedic knowledge of the subject. They're TV people, and another example I'll give you is in the first episode, Dr. Mayer and RBG, I think it's RPG, go out and they find, a possible track, and they're talking about the track, but we never really see it. Like the cameraman never just stands over on top of the track and films down looking at the track to give us, the viewer, an idea of what they're seeing and they're looking at. So I don't know if that was a choice that was made because, it was a poor track and it didn't, maybe they felt that if people saw it, they wouldn't get excited about it, or if it was just an editing thing. I don't know. But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about where, these shows are put together by people that really, at the end of the day, they don't care about the subject. They care about ratings. And I think that's the downfall of a lot of Bigfoot shows. And if you go back and listen to Cliff Barackman talk about Finding Bigfoot. You know, they had a lot of disputes with the producers and the crew over the show because they wanted it to be more. They wanted it to be something that it wasn't. And, you know, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard to get exciting footage of Bigfooting. You know, you can film for hours and hours and hours and get, you know, maybe a couple of minutes worth of something that somebody would want to look at. But don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the show. I'm going to keep watching it. It's just frustrating that there's not that many shows on the subject right now. And, you know, or not, I guess there's not that many legitimate shows where you have actual teams like this with doctors and people that are into the subject going out who are legitimate researchers or legitimately into the subject. You know, their goal is not to be on TV or to make money. They want to actually find Bigfoot. But then you get the producers and the editors involved, and it kind of devolves into something that, you know, it just doesn't present the subject to the public in an accurate light. So anyway, I recommend the show. I definitely think that it's probably the best thing on Bigfoot that's on right now. I don't think there's a whole lot of shows that are about Bigfoot that are airing like new episodes right now. I think the only thing that may still be on that's even remotely Bigfoot related is maybe Mountain Monsters or something like that. And I just, you know, I think that show's kind of like the professional wrestling of cryptid research. You know, it's interesting and it's fun, but it's just, you know, at the end of the day, it's just not real. So, you know, check it out. You know, don't be a hater. You know, like I said, there's definitely things about the show that I don't care for. But if I get to see new Bigfoot stuff on TV, hey, it's a plus. You know, that stuff with the LiDAR, you know, that blew my mind. And it's good. I think it's good for the subject. It might get some people out there to thinking. It might get some people, some gears grinding, and some people to come up with an idea that actually makes some progress in the field. So, you know what? Don't be a hater. It's new, and it's something that has never been done before, to my knowledge. So enjoy it for what it is. If you've got the time, sit down and watch it. If you don't, and you know you think it's silly, don't worry about it. You know, it's not hurting you. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this overview of Expedition Bigfoot. You know, give it a try. Let me know what you think about it. I thought I'd get on here and give my 2 cents on the show. And like I said, I know Russ. I think that anything that he's involved with is probably, you know, it's going to be of better quality. I'm not saying that it's the best out there or that it's going to be the best or anything like that, but I don't necessarily think Russ would get involved with something that he didn't think was going to be successful. So, you know, give it a shot. Give it a try. Don't hate on it just because you're not on it. Just enjoy it for what it is. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to get off here. Hopefully I will be seeing you guys or talking to you guys again around the holidays or right before the holidays. Hopefully I can sit down and record something. If you guys have any recommendations for the holiday show, let me know. I'm kind of leaning toward something that's not necessarily Bigfoot related, you know, maybe some a show about the Lake Iliamna monster, or maybe something about other Alaska cryptids. I don't know. I'm just kind of in the planning phases right now. Maybe we'll do another story episode, and I'll do one about the Thomas Bay story, or the woman that got abducted on her honeymoon. I think we've talked about that one on here before. I don't know. I'll have to think about it and decide, and hopefully have the time to sit down and record it. So anyway, guys, my name is Beans Baxter. I appreciate you listening. You can shoot me an email at alasquatch@gmail.com. You can find me on the Facebook, on the Alasquatch Facebook. You can also like my research page, the Kenai Bigfoot Research Group. You can go over there and see some of the footage and stuff that I've got over the years. I've got some pretty cool trail camera footage of some moose and other Alaskan animals, and there's also some FLIR footage of some animals on there. I got some really cool footage recently. A couple of weeks ago, I got out in the field and got footage of a owl sitting in a tree. So that was pretty cool. So you can see all that on the Kenai Bigfoot Research Group Facebook page. So give me a shout, give me a like on the social medias, and I will see you guys hopefully in about a couple of weeks with a holiday episode. If not, I will see you hopefully in January with a regular episode. So good night, be safe out there, and have a good one. Happy holidays, everybody.